Now, the Metropolitan Police has apologised for causing further offence with an apology about an officer's use of the term openly Jewish to an anti-Semitism campaigner who happened to be near a pro-Palestine march. This is what happened.
You are quite openly Jewish. This is a pro-Palestinian march. I'm not accusing you of anything, but I'm worried about the reaction to your presence.
Well, the chief executive of Campaign Against Anti-Semitism was wearing a Kapoor skull cap when he was stopped from crossing a road near the demonstration in London last Saturday.
Let's talk to former Scotland Yard detective Peter Bleksley, who's here. Morning, Peter.
Good morning.
Watching that exchange there, I mean, what's your view?
It's yet another appalling exchange between a Metropolitan Police officer and somebody who is expressing concerns about these pro-Palestinian marches. I mean, let's break down some of the language where he expresses concern about his presence there. Surely a police officer who is intending to keep the peace would be concerned for that person's safety and might suggest to them that there might be a better place where they can observe the march from, where they could be better protected. Not about their presence. Surely there is an absolute right of somebody to observe a protest that they fundamentally disagree with. It's appalling. And the Metropolitan Police are increasingly being regarded by many swathes of the London public as taking a side, and it's not their side.
And he also threatened this man later on with arrest, and that's a really important element, isn't it, of this story?
It's utterly appalling. People have a right to go and express their contrary view to a demonstration. The man is simply standing there and observing. If there is any kind of policing duty to be fulfilled here, it is a duty of keeping that man safe whilst allowing him to observe and by his very presence be there contrary to the views of those who are protesting.
I mean, the concern would seem to be, well, you know, it could cause some trouble. Well, presumably the trouble that he's concerned about would be coming from the other side. Therefore, you police them more strongly, vigorously, wouldn't you?
Robustly.
Robustly.
And we know, through the number of arrests that have been made whilst these marches have gone on since October last year, that some people that go there express vile, murderous, genocidal views and want to see an end of the state of Israel. Many people have been arrested for displaying placards, for chanting and for other crimes connected to these protests. The Metropolitan Police are quite fundamentally sacrificing their independence. I think it's very difficult for the Met Police to now turn around and say, we police without fear or favour, because there appears to be a lot of favour being granted towards certain people expressing certain political views.
I mean, the wording of this is really interesting. You look openly Jewish. I mean, it sounds as though there's something wrong with looking openly Jewish. You can imagine a police officer saying, look, you're openly drunk, you're openly high, there's something wrong with your behaviour. There's nothing wrong with looking religious, if you are, and walking through central London.
Or being openly black.
Yeah.
Or openly brown. Or openly gay. Or openly straight. Or openly supporting one football team or another.
Yeah.
And so it goes on and on and on and on and on. This language is beyond clumsy. It's utterly appalling. And this comes from a sergeant, a police leader. 86% of police officers are in the lower rank of constable. That's a sergeant, that's a supervisor. No wonder the Metropolitan Police's reputation has absolutely tanked.
I mean, that's the thing. I did see something online last night where someone sort of took the words and removed Jew or Jewish and put black in there and said, you know, would this ever happen? You can't, you know, a black man cannot observe a racist march or whatever it may be because you're open, you know, you're obviously black and you may cause problems by being here. I mean, that would never happen. And so it just seemed remarkable that it would happen when it comes to someone's religion.
I don't share your confidence, Stephen, when you say it would never happen. Look at the Met Police now. It's utterly shambolic in regards to this public order protest policing. And I know, and I read it every day on social media, where police officers who quite courageously, and some of them often thoughtfully, step forward and talk about the complexities of public order policing. They're making it more complex. They're making it more difficult because so many people think they are fundamentally not impartial, that they've chosen a side, and many of us quite rightfully think we know what side they're on.
When you say they've chosen a side, is it coming from the rank and file? Is it coming from the senior members of the Met, or is it that middle management level?
Policing is a disciplined organisation with many, many ranks above the sergeant that's there speaking so dreadfully to that Jewish man. These orders, these directions come from above. These public order protests are a huge policing operation, understandably, with sometimes thousands of police officers on the ground, but there are instructions handed down, there are rules that strictly should be applied, and there is a way to do it. And there is also a way, as we quite clearly see here, how not to do it.
Let's get your reaction to this statement, should we, Peter?
Because there have been two. This is the initial statement from the Metropolitan Police saying, in recent weeks, we've seen a new trend emerge with those opposed to the main protests appearing along the route to express their views. The fact that those who do this often film themselves while doing so suggests they must know that their presence is provocative, that they're inviting a response, and that they're increasing the likelihood of an altercation.
Well, they deleted that and then put out a new statement saying, we've reflected on the strength of response to our previous statement. In an effort to make a point about the policing of protests, we cause further offence. This was never our intention. We've removed that statement and we apologise. Being Jewish is not a provocation. Jewish Londoners must be able to feel safe in this city. Peter?
It's utterly abysmal, isn't it? That first statement, which they've deleted, of course, but is now there forever and a day because so many of us have saved it, is fundamentally appalling. People have a right to go to a protest and express a contrary view. We are supposed to live in a democracy where the police are supposed to impose the law without fear or favour and to actually allow protest and counter-protest. If somebody stumbles across a protest or somebody deliberately attends a protest to offer a contrary view, that is a fundamental right enshrined in law. And now, with these kind of statements that come out via the police media machine, where so many people with all these degrees, because you remember now how we have such a highly educated police service, because they all need to have degrees. Well, I've got to tell you, there's so much about policing that can't be learnt in books and that these people have fundamentally failed to grasp.
OK, Peter, good to see you. Thank you very much indeed.